And welcome to Wisdom and Knowledge 5 podcast. This week, I'm going to discuss how Amazon is changing Whole Foods and how to respond. Now, there's a lot of, people out there who are, health conscious people who shop at Whole Foods. And they shop there because, you know, they feel that they can get better products than, Kroger, Target, Walmart, wherever you are shopping to buy your groceries. They expect better quality. They expect, organic options, non-GMO options, you name it. Well, Amazon is shaking things up, or should I say Amazon Whole Foods, because Whole Foods was bought by Amazon in 2017, and in 2025, there was just an article out last week in Wall Street Journal on the front page, and it says the Amazonification of Whole Foods is finally here. So 2017 to 2025, and things are about to be shaken up at Whole Foods. And how can we, the consumer, respond to this? Well, let me start out by sharing this article from Daily Mail, which basically, came out right after, the Wall Street Journal did their article, because this sheds a lot of light as to what's going on at Whole Foods, what, Amazon is trying to do to reshape Whole Foods. And it brings up a lot of great information in this article. So let me pull it up right here. This is from Daily Mail on November 4th. Amazon signals it's finally fed up with its Whole Foods sluggish sales and is making sweeping, controversial changes. Whole Foods is known for its organic produce and health and environment conscious clientele. When the company was bought in by Amazon in 2017, loyal shoppers and employees feared the retail giant would strip away its culture and values. 8 years on, those fears appear to be coming true, as some claim the Amazonification of the chain has begun. Stores in major US cities are trailing new concepts where Amazon grocery products, including Pepsi and Doritos. Yes, Pepsi and Doritos are sold alongside the signature organic vegetables and prepared foods. Well, people don't go to Whole Foods to get Pepsi and Doritos. They don't. They just don't. The clientele there is not buying, that, garbage, so to speak. So why would they be doing this to begin with? And, the title of the article, sluggish sales, that couldn't be further from the truth. Whole Foods is as busy as can be. They are, busier than can be. So, and the reason why they're so busy is because people are out there who are health conscious, who are shopping there, and by the masses, and I know this, by experience. I know this because, I have friends that work at other, Whole Foods locations across the country, and they're saying it's as busy as can be. So this is false, saying sluggish sales. Sluggish sales is laughable. Sluggish sales is completely laughable. So what is happening here? Well, we see a global shift. We see things like Agenda 2030, which they are, ramping towards. We see Bill Gates messing with our food. We see, you know, uh, big pharma messing with our food, mRNA technology being placed in, things like lettuce and, a peel, Bill Gates using a peel to spray on, produce items. You know, it's a big club. They're trying to reshape our food and, mess with our food. And with what Whole Foods is doing, it's not what the consumer who shops at Whole Foods is looking for. And, you know, this is how you can be proactive. Well, I'll finish reading the article and then I'll explain how you can be proactive And I think it's important to note that, there's people in this, uh, the people in the store level probably don't even know about, this that is happening, except for the stores that have already, started rolling this out. I don't think they're being briefed on this. I think it's just like, yeah, it's just gonna happen. They sure don't read, Daily Mail or, Wall Street Journal to find this out. And so let's get back to the article. At one Pennsylvania location, alongside the usual Whole Foods produce, customers can open the Amazon app in store and request name brand items from robots working in the back. Yes, that's exactly what the clientele that, shops at Whole Foods wants. Is robots coming from the back to bring you Chips Ahoy, to bring you Doritos, to bring you Pepsi, to bring you Mountain Dew. No, that is not, I get the world is shifting to AI and the AI switch and all that. A lot of people are resisting and rejecting this, and they don't want this. They want actual humans. They want a human interaction. They want somebody, who cares. Somebody, how's your day going? This, that, and the other. Someone who's health conscious. A worker who can help explain products to them, not a robot bringing you Chips Ahoy, bringing you, Tombstone Pizza, whatever it may be. So. Uh, the move comes as Amazon's grocery business, including Whole Foods, is struggling to gain traction, accounting for less than 4% of the market share. This is according to market research firm Numerator. So, market research firm Numerator, who's probably owned by a Zionist, you don't know who owns this, Numerator, so to speak, which counts for which counts food and beverage sales, but not alcohol, non-food items. Walmart, meanwhile, makes up 21%. But it's a big club, and this numerator obviously is probably owned by, somebody who is involved with whether it be Bayer Monsanto, Bill Gates, like I said, the Zionists, you name it, so it's very interesting that they would report on this. The company now aims to widen its reach and increase the number of items going into baskets. What's funny about that is the number of items going into the shoppers' baskets is massive. People are shopping at Whole Foods getting large carts full of items. Yes, there's small carts too, but there's a massive amount of people buying, coming in, getting large carts of items. And that's because there's a health push. There's people who are healthy conscious. There's people who know that they can't find other items, at other places that Whole Foods does currently carry. So for them to say these small baskets, that is nefarious. It's lies, and it's just not the case. So, and I know this as a fact, you know, the company now aims to widen its reach and increase the number of items going into shopper baskets. While the corporate identity of Whole Foods was kept intact initially following the sale, that is beginning to change, the Wall Street Journal reported, just like I said. Corporate staff, though not store employees, will soon be moved on to Amazon's payroll. A round of layoffs also hit Whole Foods late last month, with Chief Executive uh, Jason Beekle blaming Amazon's efforts to consolidate its grocery operations. And he is also the CEO of Whole Foods too, Jason Beekle. These changes are necessary to simplify the way we run the business across our grocery brands and allow us to invest more in delivering the best customer experience, Beekle wrote in an internal memo, the outlet reported. Well, Beekle, do you fully comprehend? And I'm not calling this guy out, but do you fully comprehend why people shop at, I don't know, Whole Foods? Because they're healthy, conscious people, because they care about health. They want, non-GMO. They want, items without seed oils. They want organic options. They want, foods that you can't find at other places. Even, someone who would be like vegan, them finding options, people who are meat eaters finding grass-fed options, organic options for meat, you name it. Do you fully comprehend that? That they're not coming there for Chips Ahoy. They're not coming there for Pepsi. They're not coming there for Mountain Dew. But, let's continue reading on with this. Whole Foods reports that sales have grown by more than 40% since Amazon took over, which is around 5% on year average. However, this is much less than in the early 2010s when sales consistently grew in the double digits. And the reason why sales probably consistently grew in the double digits was the vision of the founder, John Mackey, who, eats healthy, who cares about, providing healthy food, you know, and, had the right thing that made Whole Foods the name that people trust. In 2023, the chain opened 8 stores, while competitor Sprouts Farmers Market opened 30. The company said that even excluding Whole Foods Market and Amazon Fresh, Amazon is one of the largest grocers in the nation with over $100 billion in gross sales. It also said that the integration of corporate employees will not affect the shopping experience for customers. Well, the shopping experience for customers, uh, adding robots is not really what the Whole Foods consumer, is looking for, but they'll find out. They will find out. But in suburban Philadelphia, a store is experimenting with a new layout. Let's expand on this new layout. And look at this right here. Workers and loyalists customers have expressed their concern about the Amazonification of Whole Foods. CEO Jason Beekle blamed layoffs last month on the company's effort to consolidate its grocery operations. We already said that. If a shopper does not find what they want among the Whole Foods produce, they can simply open the Amazon app and request an item from so-called shop bots in the back room. Yes, George Orwell's 1984. Let's just pull this AI dystopian nightmare into the mix. These robots are designed to procure items beyond Whole Foods' usual organic offerings and will have a soda or packet of chips ready to be picked up in minutes. In Chicago, meanwhile, the city's flagship location now has a 3,800 square foot Amazon grocery storefront located below the store. Here, shoppers can find everyday essentials that are not typically available in a Whole Foods store. The company has not announced whether it plans to roll out these experiments more widely. Whole Foods Market has never wavered in its purpose to nourish people and the planet by offering the highest quality natural and organic foods, Beekle told the Journal. The company said it would continue to iterate on concepts that would allow customers to shop for organic Whole Foods products and everyday essentials. However, some workers and suppliers are concerned that the increased integration could damage the Whole Foods brand, which has been established over the last 45 years. Well, one thing that you could do is, and I see it, and it's actually they said it was one of the trends in an internal app for Whole Foods that, things like tallow and these tallow fries and things like that, like they're following trends. So they understand that what people are looking for, like options to stay away from seed oils and but so if you understand that that is one of the trends, makes you wonder why go in this direction. Is it because you're involved with these corporations that, make these other products and you're getting kickbacks and you're doing, who knows what is really going on, and no need to speculate. And there is a picture of David Matthias and co-founder David Mackey at a store opening in Houston in 1984. Okay, Whole Foods has great brand equity. It's been built up over decades, said John Forker, CEO of Once Upon a Farm, which sells organic baby food and snack bars at Whole Foods. If they were asking me, I'd say be super, super careful. Exactly. He gets it. He understands because he has a company that fully cares about providing healthy foods and, knows what the consumer is looking for. And that's why this company, Once Upon a Farm, you see everywhere. They're becoming more and more popular. Let's get back to the article though. Whole Foods was established in 1980 in Austin, Texas by co-founder and longtime CEO John Mackey. Mackey retired in 2022, said the company felt pressure to sell to Amazon because an activist investor was threatening to take over the board and remove him and other executives. We didn't want to sell to Amazon. It's just that Amazon was the best solution to a problem we had. He told the Habits and Hustle podcast last month. And I'll share a clip of Mackey speaking uh, in a moment. Since the sale, Whole Foods has implemented various changes, including layoff graphic artists. Now, those are graphic artists are sign makers who, made signs in the store. And that I understand. It's not necessary to have that, especially when you got, across the board prime deals and uh you have those signs. And the graphic artists were making very, very lucrative income. So that makes sense that it's not needed to have that. So the graphic artists who had given each location a unique aesthetic, offering discounts to Prime members and requiring corporate workers to come into the office 5 days a week. When corporate workers join the Amazon payroll in the following month, they will no longer receive bonuses based on Whole Foods performance. Instead, they will receive Amazon stock. Now, but back in the day, Whole Foods had gain sharing where you would get a percentage of the profits from each department, whatever department you were in. They haven't had that since Amazon took over in 2017. When they will also lose their 20% in-store discount after a year, according to the journal. People are very aware that the Amazonification of Whole Foods at Whole Foods, people are very aware of the Amazonification of Whole Foods. Ben Lovett, who works at the at a location in Philadelphia and is spearheading a unionization push, told the outlet, "Well, it's not going to unionize. It's not. That's never going to happen." And as someone who's been in, uh, food unions, they are very, very uh, corrupt. I'm not saying all unions are corrupt, but they are the food unions I've seen much better, you know, uh unions or I should say I've heard of much better unions out there than these food unions who are trying to get you to be political, trying to get you to vote for this, that, and the other, trying to push agendas on you. And then when I was part of one and left the job, they kept on sending me stuff in the mail. I reached out to them and said, "Look, I'm not part of this union anymore. I don't work there." And they said, "Oh, you will never be out of our database." Oh, so threaten me? Wow. So yeah, me personally, hey, if you like unions, yeah, it's your own thing. I personally had, dreadful experience with the food union, so they do not want to do that, and that's not going to happen. You know, Amazon won't allow that to happen. So it's become a numbers base. Amazon has immense turnover. It seems to be part of their business strategy. Whole Foods said turnover across the company is lower than it has been in years. There's a lot of workers that have been there for years. And there's John Mackey, the founder of Whole Foods, with Craig Weller and Renee Lawson Hardy, co-founders. They were all founders of Whole Foods. When asked about how he feels about complaints the quality is dwindling at Whole Foods, Mackey did not mince in his words. It's not my problem any longer. He said, I married my daughter off to the richest man in the world. Well, there you have it, you know. And more power to him for speaking out. I don't know why he's all of a sudden speaking out now when this happened in 2017, but hey, more power to you. But, I've said it before and I will say it again, despite the pictures of perfect produce that often wafted around on social media, Whole Foods was not some kind of great retailer because Amazon bought it, said Neil Saunders, managing director of global data retail. And it's funny, global data retail, because this global shift that's going on in the world. Yeah, let's go off of their words. The chain was poor value, had mediocre service. Mediocre service, then why were people shopping there by the masses? Global data retail. Who's in with the World Economic Forum? Who's in with Klaus Schwab? You will own nothing. You will be happy. Global global data retail. Don't who doesn't listen to the consumer? Yeah, come on. That there's a lot of people that would contradict and say no, no, this global data retail is, full of themselves because there's a lot of people who come to, get the value, to come to interact with the employee at Whole Foods, the team member, as they call them, to interact with the leadership in the store, and build, a reputation, build friendships with them. And it's happened left and right for customers and team members alike. Uh, let's see, the chain was poor value, had mediocre service. There was certain uppityness among some associates, ran a lot of stores that looked grubby and shabby, and was rated badly in areas like taste of products. Despite having national coverage, it was a niche retailer that was irrelevant to the vast majority of Americans. Uh, you mean the vast majority of them? Okay, you know what? I'll give them that because there is a vast majority of Americans, downing the fast food, eating the Doritos. There is, but there is also that majority who is not. So he said, in its financials were far from great. Amazon has not run Whole Foods perfectly, and there is a lot of room for improvement, but neither have they completely ruined it, he added. And I'm by no means saying that they have ruined it, and there's a lot of good things that Amazon has done with the Prime deals and all this. And so because when you're an Amazon Prime member, you get, an additional additional 10% off the sale prices, and they brought in a lot of products that are decent too. It's just the way that it's shifting is concerning to the average consumer who, goes to Whole Foods. Anyways, before I end this, I want to share a clip of John Mackey speaking. So on the podcast about what happened, and it
Right. See,
is
like, we didn't want to
right
sell
here.
Amazon. It's just that Amazon was the best solution to a problem we had. And that problem was we had shareholder activists take a large stake in the company. I met with these guys. They were very unreasonable people. And I said, listen, Mackie, here's what's going to happen. First thing we're going to do is take over your board. And once we do that, we're going to fire you. And then we're going to fire every one of your executives that doesn't do exactly what we tell them to do. And then we're going to just put you up for sale to the highest bidder. And there's not a effing thing you can do about it. And then they walked out of the room. And so it was like, okay, did not go very well. So one of my intentions I kept asking was, what's the win-win-win solution here? What's good for our customers? What's good for our team members? What's good for our suppliers? What's good for our investors? And what's good for the larger community? And one morning I woke up and an answer popped in my brain. It was, what about Amazon?
So there you have it, straight from the CEO's mouth. So the bottom line is, so how does a consumer, be proactive and preventing these changes or standing against these changes? Well, the best thing you can do personally is realize, hey, the person at the store level probably doesn't even know about this. They're not the ones to blame. But what you can do is the way that the things that, Whole Foods and Amazon looks at is feedback. The number one way you can hit them with feedback is write a Google review of your local Whole Foods that you shop at and say, look, I don't want this to happen. This is not why I shop at Whole Foods. I stand against this. That's the best, that's the most impacting way. I mean, you can also email corporate, you can also, you know, try to call corporate if you can get a hold of them. But the fastest and the best way is to be proactive, write a Google review and just say, look, I shop at Whole Foods because I want this. I don't want Chips Ahoy. I don't want the Doritos. I don't want Pepsi. And the other thing you can do is bring awareness. I'm surprised nobody's talking about this. I hear nothing among the Instagrams and the YouTubes. Nobody's talking about this. So bring awareness, share this out to others, let them know what is going on, and continue to stand for this, for healthy foods, for, being able to have options to eat healthy, because that's what it takes. That is hands down what it takes. And that's why I'm out here speaking out for humanity, speaking out on issues when it comes to health and things affecting all of humanity. And we have the power. We massively outnumber the ones trying to rule over us. And we have the power to be proactive. And while we still have that power, use it. So much love to everyone. If you have not subscribed, subscribe on whatever platform you are listening on. Share this episode out. For Wisdom and Knowledge 5, I am Mark. Much love to everyone. Peace.